enthusiasts. We're here in Backer Kit during Comictopia, baby, the place where you can find the hottest new comics in indie comics. We've got awesome old comics being reimagined. We've got brand new stuff from brand new creators. We've got dozens of new books from dozens of new creative teams. All awesome stuff cross-promoted together on Backer Kit. If you back 2 comics from the same team, you can get all kinds of extra rewards. Back 5 books and you can get all kinds of cool stuff. You want to know why your Uncle Fishy's here? Because I'm bringing you a story that I've been working on for over 30 years. You know I've worked on nearly 90 books in the last 5 years. You know I've helped my clients raise over 140 grand on crowdfunding sources. But now I'm pouring it all into my own book, baby. This is a story I've spent my life working on. This is Alice Lost in Wonderland. Check it out.
Alice has spent her entire life trapped in an interdimensional rift between worlds known as Wonderland. With nothing but the Tin Man by her side and the broken hilt of the Vorpal sword on her hip, a blade sharp enough to cut holes in reality itself. Bound by a magical contract, Alice must survive bounty hunters, armies, ghosts, and the Queen of Hearts to find the White Rabbit. Come along for the wild ride throughout reality. Alice Lost in Wonderland, July 18th to August 8th. Go MrFish.com.
If that sounds cool, you need to go back it now, and you need to check out all the other awesome books on Comictopia. Now, get ready for the School of Fish art stream, where we're going to be working on awesome stuff for the extra add-ons on Alice. I'll see you there.
Hello, everybody. It is your Uncle Fish back again for School of Fish art stream. J-Man wants a Gatling gun on the end of his tail. Oh my goodness. J-Man says the tail's where you put all the heavy artillery. Yeah. Said he used to have a howitzer on the end of his tail.
Hello, everybody. It is your ever-loving Uncle Fish back again, at least my hands. I'm busy packing up stuff for the mighty KAAW. And we got my buddy Thomas Moran from Fate Comics, one of my favorite writers, creator of some awesome new books. He's hanging out today with us talking comics. How are you doing today, man?
Not too bad. I noticed your camera's down, though.
Oh, man.
Oh, no. Not a way to start, huh?
One thing after another.
Yeah, I'm good though, man. I'm
consistent issue today, man.
I'm excited to be here, though.
My phone fell asleep.
There you go. Except it's sideways now, but we'll get to it. It'll be better.
Yeah, I gotta pull it back up. I gotta turn it sideways.
There you go.
One of these days, I'm gonna have the whole place wired for sound and video, and I'll be set.
Oh, yeah.
From anywhere, getting stuff done, but until that lovely day, the other side is strictly phones and ghetto work over here, trying to make stuff happen. All right, so until I fall away again, how you doing, man? What are you working on now?
Right now I'm mainly working on my campaign, which is Wardens 2, which has been a long time coming.
Yeah, imagine, man.
Yeah.
When are you hoping to launch?
I am hoping to launch tomorrow. I don't know exactly what time yet. Probably, hopefully early in the morning, depending on if things are like full 100%. But I'm mostly adding a lot of digital rewards at this point.
Oh, that's cool. Was it you that was talking about making? Yeah, it was you I was talking with about making your digital rewards more interesting.
Yep. I've noticed lately a lot more people like to have, especially when it comes to covers, they would like to have a chance to have a specific cover digitally in their collection. And I noticed a lot of like campaigns don't do that. And also that people who are, say, in another country, instead of paying $30 shipping because it just for some reason it costs that much,
Oh man, it's crazy.
that they can just get it digitally, whatever cover they want, and still kind of get those same rewards that almost a physical tier would, like, the name in the book and this and that. It's like, hey, they want it too. They just don't
Oh
want to
yeah.
pay $30 shipping for it.
Oh yeah. Like all my backers get in the book. I don't just I don't leave out the digital or anything. But I really like that idea of doing all the covers, having them all available. I had always thought about, and I've always meant to do a special digital version that has all the variant covers on it, like at the beginning, and then you go into the book. But I always forget to make that separate file.
Yeah. Also, your phone froze again, but
Man,
no, not only did I make a digital tier that holds all the covers, like it'll have Wardens 1, 2, and then the 2 variant covers. But I also did another tier where not only does it have all those, it also has like the specials of name in the book, a certain wall, like you get a wallpaper, like a phone wallpaper. You just get a lot of cool stuff that um, is special for the digital uh, rewards.
that's cool. That's smart, man. I like that.
Yeah, gotta be creative and gotta be making sure you take care of everyone.
All right. Let's see. We're going to see if this is going to work any better this time. All right. Let's see. Got it there. Flip it over. Got it plugged in this time. Let's see.
Lots of comics everywhere.
Man, I
if
have been working my
that's
butt
not
off.
if that's not a self-publisher's office, I don't know what is.
I'm
Like
telling you, man, I have been working, working, working.
like to my left, I have a collection of everything I've done. Like just it's my copies. I just have everything I've done, and my pile of books is farther down. I got one like mini shelf, and it's just boxes in it of just everything.
All right, we're going to see if being plugged in saves me any. If it goes out again, then I'm just going to have to stop and chat for a minute. But I'm really
Yeah.
trying to kill 10 birds with one stone because I got a con this weekend and I need to. I really need to be able to sell the Mighty KAAW there because I've pretty much sold out of everything else. I'm waiting on a restock on Green Zone issue 1 because nobody really wants to buy issue 2 and 3 unless there's issue 1. And so what I've got is a whole lot of KAAW 1 through 4, and I want to sell those, but with my OCD and everything, I don't feel right doing that if I haven't shipped out the rewards for the Kickstarter yet. So I'm gonna try and get all of this done and ready and packed today if I can. At least get the lion's share of it done.
What oh, your camera went out. What con are you gonna be at this weekend?
I am going to be at Fort Smith Comic Con.
All right.
I don't. My phone's still on too. I don't understand
Huh.
what's going on.
Yeah, because I was gonna say I don't. I know the next con. I think I'm trying to think of the next con I'm even gonna be at. It's been a while. I think it's in. I think it's QuadCon St. Charles is the next one. I don't know.
St. Charles, is that Louisiana?
No, it's in St. Louis.
Oh,
It's right. It's right on the outside of St. Louis. It's what river's that? Missouri. Yeah, it's right across Missouri River. It's they've built it. They've built it up lately, and it's really nice. So
Oh, that's cool.
yeah.
I was wondering, I got a buddy that's from St. Charles, Louisiana, and I was like, "Don't tell me you're down there by my buddy Ben."
No, no, no. Cons. I took a break for the most part from cons this year to kind of focus on Kickstarter, which hasn't gone great, but you know, nothing you start ever kind of goes that way.
Yeah, I mean, there's the whole process of building it up, and then the economy really just kicked us all in the teeth right now. So that hasn't been a big help.
No,
Nobody's got money to be spending on stuff.
not a lot of money, but but if you have good packages and your books are good, I don't think it should be a problem selling on any platform.
Yeah, true. I mean, like people are going to come back for stuff that they like, and that's one thing that I think is a hard lesson a lot of creators on Kickstarter and stuff need to learn is like not everybody is buying our books to read them, and that's a hard thing. But like they're not. Like there's a whole lot of people that are backing our books just because they're other creators and they're supportive of indie comics, or they like us and they're supportive of us, and which doesn't necessarily translate into I read this book and I love it and I'm going to be back for every issue after this. You know, sometimes some of those folks are like, okay, well, I backed the first issue of everything you did, and that's that. And I appreciate the support, but also that's not like it's not like realistic support that I can count on, that I can plan around, that like, okay, these are dedicated fans that love my stuff. And I want hard numbers, you know? I want hard numbers that I can plan around. Like, you know, if I have 200 people back a Kickstarter, but 100 of those are just backing because they like me, and only, you know, 100 are going to come back next time because they really like the book. I need to know that. I need to be able to plan for that, you know?
The best your camera's kind of weird, but the best when you talk about fans coming back and reading, the best place that I've like Kickstarter wise, you don't really know who's reading and who's not. You don't know if it's a creator for the most part. But uh what I found really cool is when I go to these local cons, I see the same people come back.
Yeah.
And it is so cool because they're like, "What do you got that is new, like that I can grab?" And there was one con I didn't have like really anything. I think I had my Series Harrier in trade at that one. I'm like, it's still issues 1 through 5 that you've had, and they'll be like, "Well, I want it anyways."
Oh, those are the awesome guys. Like, you know, I've seen cats that have backed all of my books, like, come to a show and buy all of another creator's books and be like, you know, yeah, man, I want everything you did. And they're like, well, but you already got this. And like, did I stutter? I want everything that you got, man. I came to pick up one of everything, man.
Oh yeah,
Yeah, those
they're
are the
great.
awesome guys. I know he backed both of them. I don't know why I don't have it in my notes. But
And I can even from certain sales I see on because I closed down the main store. I use Gumroad now,
Mhm.
and it's funny because I can see some of the same uh, buyers
Yeah,
that anytime a new book comes out, they're already on it. And so that part is cool too, is that I can see those same sales.
That's one of the things that I really liked about TikTok Shop was that I got to see the same people coming back time after time, and then that you've got a fan. When you sell them like issue 1 or whatever, and then they come back for issue 2, 3, 4, and then they buy like issue 1 of KAAW, and then they come back for all the rest of them, and then like at that point, you've got a fan, and then they come in and start buying like all of the variant covers and the sketch covers and all that stuff. Like that's awesome. That's the kind of awesome interaction with a fan that you don't really get at a con. Like it's great to talk to the folks at the con, but sometimes you're not going to see that person again. Like do they find you next year at the con? I've had a lot of people do it, but not everybody does. A lot of the sales I make at cons, I might not ever see that person again. And I've enjoyed that in the TikTok shop, being able to get to see them come back and like Dragon Hunt or Mr. Midlife Crisis or somebody, and know that like, oh man, these guys are like hardcore fans. They're really loving what I'm doing, which makes the whole thing worthwhile,
Oh yeah. What's that print you got there? Or is that a book?
This is the Seth the Moose variant cover. It is the variant cover for issue 3 that I turned into a big poster for the campaign.
Your camera's kind of lagging up a little bit behind. I see it, but I'm just letting you know.
Okay. Yeah, I may have to break down and just stop for a minute, man. I'm hoping to get more done at one time, but it doesn't look like it's going to cooperate on. Hold on 1 second. I'm coming back to the tip. Yeah, my phone went off again, man.
Yeah, I noticed it was lagging a bit. I'm like, I kind of see it. I kind of don't. Like it looks very pixelated. I'm like, I'm trying.
Yeah, here I come. Hold on. There's plenty of other stuff to work on. I just really need to get those packed up.
Oh, I get it. I had to pack up some of. We just had Flurry 2 finally reach the printing company was having some difficulties, so and it took like I kept going, okay, they're like, we're behind, do you have that file again? I'd send it and I'd hear nothing for a week, and I and all of a sudden I was like, I sent them again, like, did you get my reply? They're like, no. I'm like, okay, well, here's the link. And I wouldn't hear from them a week again. So I just put the link in the contact us thing. I'm like, get me my books, please.
Yeah, that's frustrating.
And I've never had problems with them. This is kind of the first time that happened. I don't know what happened with their email or what.
Well, and things happen sometimes.
Yeah.
Like, I try not to hold one screw up too hard against anybody, or two, like, it's how do you handle it and stuff that makes a big difference to me. Like, I've seen one printer mess up and like print a book, and honestly, I think it was probably the creator's fault. The back half had some gallery pages of the characters, with their bios, and they were all printed like at 400%. So you only saw like the quarter of the page on the page. But I'm thinking what he did was he sent those pages at 600 DPI instead of 300 DPI.
Yeah.
I'm thinking it was his fault, but that got printed and shipped out to all of the Kickstarter backers. And I saw the printer eat it and reprint everything and send it back out. And
that's pretty cool of them.
That was awesome of them and makes me a big supporter. And then I've seen other printers like print a book with a big white square over a character's face for no reason. Like, it wasn't in the artwork, it wasn't a lettering mistake, it wasn't in the file they sent. Just had a big square like a caption box stuck over their head for no reason. And when they contacted them about it, now admittedly I'm hearing it third hand, but when they contacted them, it was basically like, "Oh man, that sucks. Do you want to reorder?" And I'm like, "No, I'm not interested. You're good. You can have somebody else's business."
Yeah. Like the for the most part, like the one I use does a lot of uh proofing. So they send you proof of here's how you laid it out.
Hmm.
This is how it's gonna look. How if anything's cut out, we need to know. And for the most part, even if you say you size something wrong, they're gonna fix it for the most part because they're like, yeah, we gotta make sure this book looks right to our formats.
Hmm.
And I do like that because I've had some printers that if you make a mistake with a page that say you got it from your letter and you told them I need this size and all of a sudden one of the pages aren't right, this some printers won't correct that mistake that they might see in their formats.
Yeah. And a lot of people just don't check.
Yeah.
Like, when you're doing so many books, like, a whole lot of people just send the files on. Like, we put it on the website, we told you what to do. If you didn't pay attention, then tough titty. And I would much rather have somebody hit me up and be like, "Hey, just checking. I saw this and it looked a little squirrely to me. Maybe you meant it that way, but just in case." I would much rather take an extra minute and look it over again. It was the one thing about using an offset printer overseas was getting having them make a proof, but then flipping through it on camera for me to look at.
Yeah.
I really want to hold it in my hands, but I don't want to wait a week for that to get shipped to me to okay it to print the rest of the order, which is going to take a month and a half to get here. Like, so I was like, man, that's so fast. My wife was like, "Pause the video, dummy." I was like, "Oh yeah, I can just pause and really scan and look at everything." Uh, I was trying to look at it as real time as he flipped through the pages. It's not my fault I are stupid.
Yeah, but so uh, right now you're working on Alice.
Yeah, this is for the mini comic that's the free giveaway up until today. So if people back Alice Lost in Wonderland today, they'll get this mini comic. Tomorrow there's going to be a new freebie release. Now if you backed in the first 48 hours, or if you're a returning backer from one of my other campaigns, you get this double-sided Alice poster, which is somewhere. It's under a stack of different types of paper, and I don't want to tear it up pulling it up. Anyway, it's a cool poster. It's got the sexy Alice poster for me. It's got image from Mike Watson at Freestyle Comics on the other side. So the first 48 backers or returning backers get that. After the first 48, then it was this mini comic is the freebie that you get. But if you got in the first 48 hours, you get the poster, then the mini comic, then whatever's released after that. If you back today, you'll still get the mini comic just today, and then whatever's released after that. If you back tomorrow, you'll get whatever that is, which is looking like the KAAW mini comic right now. That's what's winning in the polls on the community page on BackerKit, which that's fun. That's cool stuff that they do. Like, I can stream directly to the BackerKit page and you can see it there. You can see it on my BackerKit page. You can go into the community and you can make polls and stuff, and people can comment and let you know what they think and what they'd like to see next. And that's a lot of fun. Like, I'm going to do acrylic standees this time.
Yeah.
And I did 3 different designs for that. And I'm letting people in the polls vote on which ones they want. And that's really cool. That's fun, man. I wish I could have done stuff like that on Kickstarter.
Yeah, I haven't done backer kit yet. Um, Mostly because I don't like jumping platforms like
It's a
like
it's a whole
it's a
nother
weird
thing to
thing.
learn. It's not hard. I would I got in my head that it was going to be harder than it is, and it's not hard. It's basically like Kickstarter. It's just figuring out where things are, and it has more options, which is cool. But I was going to try it out because my friends have had so much success on it, and I wanted to see what it was like. I I have not gotten as many backers as I normally get. Like normally I would be funded by now at this
Yeah.
price, but I've got a whole lot of new backers that I wouldn't have gotten otherwise. So like some of my Kickstarter backers haven't come over, but I've gotten a lot of new backers. Maybe because I'm part of Comictopia, I know a couple of them are from that. Uh, but I've gotten a lot of new eyes on it, which is nice. Hopefully, they will stay and become fans, and you know,
I think one of the problems with uh and I think it goes to all of them is that each platform has its audience and it depends how big that platform to me is. Like you got Kickstarter, Indiegogo, Backer Kit, and there's probably 4 or 5 more that people use, and each one has its audiences. So you're getting a new audience, but at the same time, it's like, are you getting the? I guess the question that's the hardest is, are you getting the most out of your campaign? And the answer is a mystery because you really don't know.
yeah. I mean, and everybody's got to weigh it for themselves. Like some people have way more success on Indiegogo. Some people have amazing success on Fund My Comic. Uh, like some people have made their living and built a successful brand on Kickstarter and don't want to leave that behind, which I totally understand. Uh, my feeling at the time was like I wanted to give it a shot for one, and two, like I haven't built a big enough brand on Kickstarter for me to feel like I would be losing too terrible much. Like, you know, like the last CAW book had like 80 something backers on it.
Yeah.
So like if I lost them, I mean I didn't. A lot of them moved over, but if I lost, 80 is not an unreachable number to build back up again. But I don't plan on leaving Kickstarter forever. Though honestly, I would much rather not be doing Kickstarters. Like I would much rather people be backing on my Patreon and get the books faster and cheaper and get cool, awesome, exclusive covers and stuff. But I got to advertise it enough, and that's my problem. Being a solo creator is trying to get everything done. Man, like running a Patreon, I've been shipping out a book a month for this will be the 14th month without fail, and which is awesome. But that takes a lot of work, and then advertising it on social media and advertising the Kickstarters for later after the Patreon backers got the first run at the book and all that. Man, it's tiring, dude.
Yeah, that's one thing about just I think campaigns in general is it takes a lot out of you for that
Man,
whole campaign, no matter how long it is. And especially like I think you kind of take a deep breath once you kind of, I don't want to say pass the goal, but pass it comfortably. That way, even if somebody does say pull their funding or something like that, that
oh, you always got those guys.
yeah, that you kind of can take a breath going, okay, I've passed it. We're in a safe spot. We're good.
Hmm.
And uh it's it's one of those things where you're just pushing every day, and by the time you finally get there, you're just like, okay, now I take my deep breath. Now I have to keep going.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm just looking at your campaign now. I had to go through Facebook to go and find it. um, yeah, I mean, you're about, give or take, about a little over 250 to go with 14 days. That's really good.
We're gonna hit it. It's just uh usually I would have been funded by now, but I'm not hung up about it. It's a new platform. Everybody has been having a hard time here lately. Like people that normally are, doing double digits and stuff in the thousands are having a hard time hitting goal now. And so I'm not terribly hung up about it. Like it's one of those swings in the economy right now, and that stinks. Which is part of why I was really pushing my Patreon so much, thinking, like, oh, this will be easier and cheaper for folks, and not have to pay more for the book and whatnot. And like you said, it's a lot of work making these things, making the campaigns. Like I usually lose a good 2 weeks of sleep setting the campaign up and getting all the tiers right and everything because of my OCD. And then I don't sleep much during the campaign, and I can't really pitch the campaign 100% and get any client work done. So the whole time I'm doing that, either I'm not pitching the campaign well, or I'm not making any money to pay the bills, because it's like one or the other. Either I half-ass the campaign, or I can get client work done, or I can't
Yeah,
get it done and I'm pitching full time. And then when it comes time to pack and ship, I usually don't sleep for about 2 weeks, getting everything, stressing out about making sure that everything got ordered. And like I forgot some stuff, and so like I had to place some orders at the last minute to get like more ink and stuff, because I didn't really think about how many posters I had to print and stickers and things like that to make.
yeah,
And suddenly I had to order more materials, and it's a whole thing. And it's a lot.
yeah. I'm looking at your pledges, like your rewards. Definitely, I like the organization you got for the most part on here. Uh,
I try to keep it simple as much as I can.
I
And
think the coolest thing is you made, what is that? Cover A into a shirt, because actually looks pretty awesome.
let me see. I can pull it up over here.
Yeah, it's in the swag pack, and then you got, well, technically you got two swag packs. I'm guessing one has pretty much everything,
Mm-hmm.
and then the other has, it looks like a print, book one cover A, the shirt with cover A, and then a looks like a wristband. And for 45, that's pretty, it's pretty good price for a book, a shirt, a print, uh
Oh man, that was
and
supposed to
that
be
swag.
ultimate swag pack. Dang it.
We always catch it too late.
That's the one nice thing, is you can go in and change. Oh no. Oh, T mate. There we go. You can
Well, I
change
think
things. You can't change the price, but you can change like the name and stuff.
yeah.
So that's nice. And like you can change the artwork. Like when I saw somebody else had a GIF as their main image, I was like, oh hell yeah, I'm doing that. And I'm working on another one where like they cut through the logo and then it explodes and they
Hmm.
come out. But again, I got to get this done as a priority before I play around with new logos. But just being able to do cool stuff like that on here is really awesome. All right, let's go back to the pledge levels and check. So, okay, ultimate swag pack. That makes a lot more sense now. And there you get the mini comic, and you get like all the covers, and you get the posters and the T-shirt, and the other one is just like the poster, the T-shirt, the band, the book, and
Yeah, I mean that's really good pricing for especially indie comics in general.
oh
Like
yeah,
that's really low for, and if, I don't know if a lot of people know that that is actually really low compared to an average of comics.
oh
Like
man, getting a shirt from
a
anybody
shirt
else is
alone
gonna be like
is
$70 for that
yeah,
tier.
and it's
Yeah.
usually because I don't know where you're getting it printed and stuff like that, but usually most of them just a shirt alone costs like $22 alone, and then you're looking at the prints, the books, the and usually by the time it all comes together, I mean your price usually would just be just covering
Probably
cost
would
alone.
cover it on a
You'd
lot of
almost be negative.
yeah. And part of that is like I'm getting these books offset printed. Like the first issue, I'm probably gonna do 1,000 of, I'm thinking, because there's always those people that want to buy the first issue, you know.
Hmm.
So where I'm probably get 500 copies of issue 2 and 3 and 4, I'm probably gonna go ahead and get 1,000 copies of issue 1 just so I've got stock for a while for those people that are like, let me check out the first one.
Oh, there goes the doggies.
Got to be the Amazon man.
But yeah, first issues always to me, whether it's cons or I don't know kicks. Well, I mean, somewhat on campaigns is they do sell really well. Um, I've had cons where everybody's like, I've had cons where some people buy like the entire run, and then other cons are like, I just want number one, and it'll be like the whole day. I just want number one. I just want number one of this, and I'm just like, just please buy the whole thing and read the whole story. You're not getting the whole grasp,
Yeah, that
but
they're like, well, I want to test it out and see if I like it. And and to myself, I'm thinking, you're never going to see me again, most likely. Like,
mm,
I may not come back to this con if it wasn't run well, or it wasn't like, there wasn't a lot of people there, or people didn't come to spend money. Like, I mean, different cons are different. Like, in some of them, people come just loaded with cash, ready to blow it all. In some, like, it's mostly families that spent the $60 they had for the weekend to get their kids in the door. And I was like, don't touch, keep your hands off. We're just looking. Which I understand. Like, I
yeah.
took my kids to stuff like that when I was broke as all get out. But like some shows, that's the whole town. Like everybody's in that position. And if you're not going to make money, then it's not worth the expense to go out there.
Most times, when I have cons that a lot of people are only testing the waters of number one, and I know if it's a like usually if it's a 1 or 2 day con, maybe 3 days, uh, 2 or 3 days, I should say. Um, on the first day, if they kind of like, oh, I'll just do number one. Usually, I'll tell them, hey, if you come back and you liked it, um, you know, I'm gonna take $5 off if you just buy all of it. That way, there's more reason to read and see if they enjoy it to come back.
Hmm.
Because I want to treat the readers, you know, like any publishing company should, that, hey, I'm going to reward you for actually enjoying the book.
Oh yeah, that's why I like throwing in the stickers and bookmarks and extra little stuff that doesn't cost a fortune. Because, man, I'm grateful. I'm grateful for anybody that wants to come back and read more of my stuff. Anybody that reads my books and vibes with it and likes it and wants more of it, man, that means the world to me. Because like these stories have been in my head my whole life. Like Alice, I've literally been working on for 30 years. And to finally be telling this story and have people see parts of it, like in my Fishtails anthology, and be like, "Oh, dude, that freaking Alice story is awesome, man! You got to do more of that." And that just means the world to me. and like I've gotten to draw characters in this book. Like this guy here, the cobbler, he has been in my role playing games for 30 years since college. He has been a cheat that I came up with in my role playing game. Originally, his name was Dark Wolf, but there's too many Dark Wolves out there. And once I merged the Alice in Wonderland part of the story and realized that it could be this interdimensional rift that brings all these public domain stories together, I started looking at other public domain characters that my characters could inhabit that role. And when I thought of the cobbler and his elves, this guy fit so perfectly. And I turned the elves into these little finger spider things with a million eyes that can build or create whatever he needs. And like you see them do amazing things like that in this book. And but in the role playing game, like whenever you got stuck somewhere, whether you were stuck deep in a dungeon and you ran out of health potions or you ran out of crossbow bolts or whatever and you were in real trouble, or if you're stranded on a space station in a distant galaxy and there's no way off, and I was stuck as the DM, like literally wondering, or do we just die now, or are we going to try and make a game out of fighting with the rats for supremacy of the ship, or like what are we going to do, because you don't have a way off.
Yeah.
If you start looking to make a deal and you make it clear, like you yell out, like, I'm looking to make a deal, eventually, and usually if you roll high enough, some door somewhere will change into a door to this guy's office. And when you go in, you go into this little pocket dimension that he rules like a genie. And he will wager you for whatever you want. And sometimes he makes it really easy and you get all kinds of cool stuff to get you hooked like a drug dealer. And then then when you really need something, like you're stranded on a space station at the other end of the galaxy with no way home, he made them gamble away all of their armor and weapons and all their cool stuff down to their underwear. But they managed to finally win a hand with him, rolling the dice. And he took them somewhere and dropped them on an inhabited planet, because that door can open up to anywhere.
Yeah.
And anywhere, anytime, anything. So he does really weird bets sometimes, like okay, if you win you can have this, but I get 3 days off of your life. And like you don't know when those 3 days are going to be. You think the end of your life, but no, he'll just snatch him out of the middle of your life. And like that could have been the most fundamental point in your life where your whole world took a downturn and you weren't there to stop it because he pulled you out. In reality, it made a really good way to pull people out of games when like you're stuck in a dungeon and then somebody doesn't show up for this week's, and like a door would open and a hand would come out and snag them and it would shut, and Dark Wolf took them for their like 3 days they gambled away 2 months ago. And so it made a really great story way to explain why people weren't there. But also like, oh, I just love this character. He's so sinister. He's like his own little devil that's making these contracts and you don't know why, you don't know what's in it for him, but and he also brokers deals for other people. And like when Alice signs this deal here, she finds out that later that she's contracted through him, she's contracted to the Queen of Hearts from Glass City, and she's a scary criminal warlord who just so happens to have standing orders that Alice and Big Ten be killed on sight if they enter the Glass City. And now she's magically bound by this contract that she has to deliver somebody to Glass City. So is she going to survive? We're going to have to find out.
There's characters that I think as writers and creators, we just enjoy so much that I don't, like you said, it's been, that character's been around for you for forever, and you finally get to put it on a page. And I've kind of felt that way with my series for Wardens. Is one of the main bad guys that exists. I don't think I have a picture of him anywhere. is that I love writing him because he's super intelligent, and like he doesn't like what irritates him is being questioned about this, like either while he's trying to discuss something or whatever, and he'll just if he just irritate him, he just melts you. That's pretty much, he'll just burn you till you're melted because you irritate.
Don't interrupt.
Exactly, and it's like like he'll say like what his plan is or what he's kind of doing, and somebody will be like, I don't get it, and he'll just be like, oh well, you don't need to exist anymore.
Just melt him to the ground. Okay, now you're my number two.
Exactly, pretty much. That's kind of what he does. Just don't like he'll allow you to talk when it's your time to talk, but don't interrupt him and don't do all these things.
My question is he the type of person that you can, like, if he asks you for an answer, do you have to tell him what he wants to hear, or do you tell him the real answer?
You
Like,
tell him the real answer.
okay. Because, I mean, if he just be melting people, I would be real scared to tell him something he didn't want to know.
Because he's one of those guys he steps ahead of everything. Like he's playing chess,
Mm-hmm.
and he's like, oh, did you do this? Yeah, okay, cool. I don't need you anymore, and you did your job. Bye. It's pretty good. Can I let me see? I don't think that's what I want. I was gonna say screen share, but
You can, yeah.
uh, on my screen right now, let's see. I was hoping I could do a window share instead. I don't know. I don't know how this works.
If you go to screen share, it'll give you a drop down menu that'll give you some options.
Okay.
And like I can share the window that Clip Studio's in, or I can share the screen that
All
it's
right.
on.
Yeah, I see it. Let me.
But if I don't share the whole thing, then you can't see everything that I'm doing.
So that's this guy in general. He goes by Mr. Nightmare, and as you can see, he's burning pretty much one of our heroes, not to death, but he's burning with magic.
That is cool. I love
But
that head.
oh yeah, it's basically the book revolves around a lot of mythologies. So you've got Greek, Roman, which are kind of the same in their own ways, Egyptian, and just so on. There's all these different mythologies in it, and basically, a lot of people who know it could go, well, that's Anubis then, right?
Mm-hmm.
Um, Kinda. But um the one thing I really loved about writing this series is that I place it around the 1920s with these mythologies. So you've got a simple like club, basically, girl on stage, rough looking crew or mobs, stuff like that, and it's great. And the the even cooler part about getting to do all this, and I've wanted to do this for like, I think this book I originally launched in like 2019 maybe, and I had to stop because I wanted to focus on Harrier and stuff like that. And it's good to get back because I finally get to make this guy. We don't know in the book who he is yet or why he is attacking. This is our main hero right here as a kid, and we don't know why he went to attack them.
Mm-hmm.
And that's kind of the mystery throughout the series is why did he go after them? Who is he? and we need answers. And it's cool because I can play around with history and see all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, I love the idea of having Anubis in there. There's actually like if anybody really pays attention to Kaw, or like reads the source books and stuff, there's mention, especially like in issue 4, there's mention a couple times of the Raw Nubian Empire, which is another empire that the Avian Empire is like, in a somewhat peaceful accord with. Like they're at a stalemate with each other. And I've never gotten to draw them yet in a book anywhere, but they've appeared in my role playing games and like I've sketched them out. And it's a bunch of different aliens in this empire, but that all could easily be mistaken for the ancient gods and stuff of Egypt. And like Ra and Anubis were two of the kings that, were the heads of the empire, and their descendants are still ruling that empire. And, and so like when they visited other worlds, they got named after
Yeah,
them and whatnot as gods. And, like one of the species is this purple, like, Doberman dog looking four-armed dudes. But, you see them in garb and everything, you could mistake that for Anubis and say, oh, yeah, it's a dog-faced god. Yeah, absolutely. And
I think Anubis is kind of one of the favorites when it comes to Egyptian, uh, or I wouldn't say so. He's one of the most recognizable, I should say.
mhm.
Um, and that's why I kind of wanted to do it because I'm like, not only does he look just terrifying, but I'm kind of giving him this power now where people don't know if it's really gonna be Anubis or if it's just some random guy that's dressed like this.
Mhm.
And so it keeps that mystery a little bit. But uh, what's cool about Wardens, I don't know if you've had a chance to read it yet. I know
I
you've been busy.
in my list, but because we're friends, like I want to do a whole video about it when I do it, and so it's in my pile of things I need to do a video.
But one of the biggest things with Wardens is they have these um I guess I should say guardians. So each warden has a guardian. And for the guy here, Lucas, he has a saber tooth as his guardian, as you can see right here. And it's really cool because I get to play with the concept that, hey, in a fantasy world, these wardens get specific uh, animalistic guardians. So, uh, like her right here, she has a dragon, and you don't see the dragon, unfortunately. But yeah, she has They basically can have animalistic abilities as well. So that's one thing that really made me happy. Is like not only do I, you know, get to have these special characters with special abilities, um, which later I don't even know what issue it'll eventually be, but basically I'll have a backstory of like, well, actually that's actually this issue is you kind of see a backstory of who wardens are, what they're supposed to do, and it makes me happy because I get to play around with history a bit. And it's something that I've really wanted to do is I wanted something to do with history and have fun with it,
Mhm.
and change a few things here and there of, oh, this guy, yeah, everybody knows him from this story in history. Well, yeah, here he is. And he's doing this thing, and it's crazy. And and I guess that in comics in general is just, I think that's the most fun part is, especially it's your own sandbox when you're a
Mhm.
self-publisher. It's your own sandbox. You can do whatever you want, play with it however you want. Um, and that's a huge, to me, a huge benefit of doing, all of this. I don't know if you've seen. I showed you this one, cover wise.
That's short.
Uh, I like this one. Like it's like we had a little trouble with it because I was like, oh, I want, was it one, two, three, four? I didn't count the saber tooth at the beginning. I only wanted the four characters, but that got thrown. But we were having trouble because this spot was kind of empty for a while. And I was like, why don't we just put a city there? It's like, okay, it works. Um,
I catch myself now. I'm always trying to plan where am I going to sign, and I try and leave some place for me to sign on books now. And like, I accidentally on the background of T-Man and Hyperstrike. I've never done it again this well, but I accidentally had a couple of blank signs on a building that I just forgot to ever put copy in the background, and it makes a really nice place to be able to sign my name. And I've wanted to be that clever again, but I haven't been that clever again yet.
for me, I don't usually like, for most books, I sign in this right corner, right bottom corner. I pretty much always do it because it's a spot that isn't covering pretty much most of this area where a title would be and your main art. So I'm like, okay, and my usually I have the logo right here, so I'll probably have the. I know the logo is going to be right here, so it's like right there is going to be a perfect spot. But I actually just added yesterday uh, this cover, and funny thing is, so the artist, um, so originally when I was, because it was about a year or two ago, uh, I was bringing back up this series, and I was like, oh, because the original artist had fallen off and stuff like that, and so I was like, yo, it would be cool if I brought it back as a manga, and I think we got about 3 or 4 pages in, and I was just like, I can't do it. I can't do it. It's just not working. Like the pages look good, don't get me wrong, but I'm like, it it doesn't fit what I'm wanting. So basically, he made this cover and did the colors and everything, and I'm like, I really love it. It fits everything that this story is kind of about. And the tree actually somewhat plays a significant role as well back there. So I'm like, it just works.
I I'm tempted every time I think about a new book. I'm like, I could do a manga because my first love is black and white comics. I've probably told you this before, but like, growing up in the days of the old Ninja Turtles and things like that, like all the cool indie stuff was black and white and grayscale.
Yep.
And that's what I loved. That's what I wanted to do as a kid. It drove me nuts when indie comics became full color now. And I had to learn how to color and stuff to keep up with the times. Like I love the black and white, and I love like the ash can size that manga is. Like I've made a lot of ash can comics over the years. I really love everything about it, and all of my kids read manga and don't read American style comics. Like if it's full color, they turn their nose up at it. They want like a novel sized manga, and I'm like, man, I could get that done so much faster if I didn't have to
Mhm.
do full color, and I could just knock out pages. They'd be a little bit smaller, so I could knock out pages even faster. And I'd be going to a demographic that's growing, but also I'd be going to a demographic that doesn't have as much disposable money as people my age. Like our demographic is going to die away eventually. But like right now, we've got money, and the kids don't, and that ends up making me do a full size comic every time.
Because yeah, mangas outsell comics like what is it now? It's like 5 to 10 times more, I think. But the problem is like in order to just get one volume of a manga would cost like for somebody who doesn't do a manga style art, that book is going to cost you, oh man, probably easily $10,000 for one volume. And
I could see it. I mean, like, and that's one thing is I'm doing the artwork myself, but I still have to pay myself. Like I still have a mortgage to pay, and I still
mm,
have kids I have to feed. So like I can't do it for free. Like right now, I'm starting on a job for a client, so I can pay the bills, pay the mortgage this month, and save as much of that money as I can, so I can pay myself for another month or two if I squeeze it just right to work on my own stuff for a while. And it's tough, man. It is tough. And they expect it to be big because they're taking like 20, 30 installments from like a weekly or monthly book that's a couple of pages and then putting all of that together and making like a novel sized book out of it. And which they've already gotten paid on the weekly or monthly book that it went out on, and now this is a collected trade that they're selling to us. But that's what the kids are expecting now. And like trying to find other people. I love the idea of like the Shonen Jump like magazine. I would love to find other creators that I could team up with, and like we could put out a regular book where each of us only had to worry about like 8 pages a month or whatever,
yeah,
and just put it out every month, and it's a big fat book full of all kinds of cool continuing stories. I would love to do that, but trying to get that many indie comic creators together is like
it's
herding
tough.
quail. Like you're just not going to get them to work together for very long without somebody getting their feelings hurt or whatever. And
The hardest part would be what is the return. That
mhm,
would be probably the hardest part. Like you could get an anthology with 4 or 5 creators say, "Hey, for this, and you'd have to have a Kickstarter almost. I would say every 2 months is like, hey, for this month, I need your pages by this. You'd almost have to organize like, I need your pages by this, for I can get it all together, and then if you have a cover that you want to do for this book as a cover B, C, whatever, uh, you know. But the problem is like, how is everything being split, and will you make enough to really
mhm.
make everything worth it? And
Well, and that's the other thing because like I wouldn't be terribly worried myself about like if say several of us went in together and we just paid to print the book and we're splitting it between us, and then we split up that big print run and we all get X amount of them to sell on your own. And and you've got those to sell forever. Like if it takes you 5 years to sell them, then you can make a little bit of profit every year for 5 years. If you sell
yeah,
them all out in 2 months, then you sell them out in 2 months. um, I wouldn't be terribly afraid of that because I'm not afraid of my ability to sell them. But then other people don't don't sell as well or don't like going to shows. I know a lot of people that just don't like going to cons and don't like, talking to strangers and feel weird trying to pitch their book to people and stuff. And that's perfectly legitimate. Like if that's not your thing.
yeah,
I think like if you had some people that were organized and like could do good job at like selling some advertising in it, you could probably get that book down pretty cheap for the creators to print and then be able to sell it on. your TikTok platforms and wherever else you wanted to sell it. Uh, I don't know. I think if you were selling it out of one place, it would probably do better sales. Like if there was one site where you subscribe, you could get it, here, but then you have to worry about that money getting split up to everybody. And I think that is where you're going to start to have some problems with indie creators. They're like, oh, no, how do I know? Because I've gone into so many contracts over the years with different people on jobs where I was supposed to be paid a commission. And like I do a t shirt design for commission of the sales. And I see my t shirts all over town. And every time I go to get a commission, check, they're like, oh man, sales have been horrible. We ain't sold but maybe three shirts, but I'll give you the $3 or whatever. Like, dude, I saw 40 shirts walking around town this week alone. Oh no, man, we're just not selling. I don't know what to tell you, man. We're just not selling. And everybody's been burned in some way. So like that's where it gets tough. It gets tough.
Yeah, because I've planned on doing putting together an anthology with different creators. Um, I'm still kind of working on the idea. It would be like cats versus dogs, basically, and it's like everybody create your own little story of this, and we'll put it all together, and you know, uh, still that's still kind of in the works. I still have not finished even a script for what I'd do, but um, yeah, it's tough working with some creators for different reasons, but when the con thing, usually like when people don't like cons, I kind of I'm starting to understand like why a lot of self-publishers don't do cons anymore, and it's more the fact that hotels alone just kill everything.
Yeah.
They are like, if I want to go, sorry about that noise, it's sewer thing. Um, if you go, like, I went, was it a few weeks ago, I went to Iowa, and luckily for me, it was like a 3 hour trip. It was one day, didn't have to do a con, did great. Um, I wasn't selling books, but still did great. But the last con I went to was Cincinnati. I went to Cincinnati Comic Expo, met a lot of awesome people. Um, it's funny, I've run into them on TikTok as well. But uh, you know the, a lot of the creators who live up there were like, this is kind of weird. Like, it's usually better for us. Like, it's not doing as well this year as it does past years. And so I'm like, okay, so it's going to be an off year. That's fine. That works, whatever. Um, but we made, it was a 3 day con, and we did pretty much table cost. So not bad, right? Um, the problem came when you get to the hotels is, oh, 200 a night,
Oh man. Yeah.
unless you want to drive, you know 40 minutes out, and you're lucky to find one for 120. And
Hmm.
it's like, that's that's not going to work well with any creator who really wants to go to a con and find their audience. It's like, you're going to pay, you know say, I'll put it at a minimum, uh in total for a con that they travel to, 800 minimum. And it's like, if they can't even get sales enough to hit like 5 to 600, that cost is going to kill you every single time.
Hmm. Yeah, and it's always tough starting out because you got to figure out what you're doing. You got to figure out your flow and like what's going to work for you. And sometimes people end up investing all kinds of money in stuff for their tables and stuff that doesn't end up being effectual. I know. Oh man, I've blown probably $200-300 before a show. Sometimes getting cool new stuff to try out at a show, just to have it have very little effect, and then sometimes something else has a great effect.
Yeah, yeah.
Um, you live and you learn, and I'm constantly adjusting. Though I've learned to try and adjust only a couple of things each time, so I can really tell what had an effect, and that has been helpful. Um, but yeah, I usually I end up making enough to cover everything. The last show I came up about $80 shy, but Nashville was pretty slow, and it was a much smaller show than I expected. Like it was the size of our local con in my hometown. I thought because it's Nashville, it was going to be a much bigger show, like a Dallas or something like that. And I was surprised by that, but it was like their first year, I think, or second year.
How many
And
sales did you do at I shouldn't say sales. How much was it like for total cost and everything with Nashville? Uh so how much did you make compared to how much you spent, I guess, is the
well,
right
that's
term.
the thing. Like I was $80 shy of covering the I mean, I covered the table, but the Airbnb and gas, and I'm not counting food, but the
Yeah.
Airbnb and the gas, I came about $80 shy of covering that. The food screwed us. Like we went out to Johnny Cash's barbecue place and it cost us $90 for dinner for two of us.
Whew.
And it was bad. It was nasty
Yeah.
and huge disappointment. But like everything in Nashville was ridiculous. I honestly, I'm not going back to Nashville again unless somebody makes it really worth my while because that's crazy expensive. Like there's places wanted $300 a night for a hotel room with bullet holes in the windows and needles in the parking lot and cockroaches all over the place, cigarette burns all over the sheets. Like I'm not paying that. We got lucky that the Airbnb we stayed in dropped their price like on Thursday because we had decided not to go. It was going to be cheaper to lose $160 for the table than to go and pay $300 a night and not make that kind of money back. But like I want to say like I brought in like $560 or something that weekend and it was slow. And like the first day, most of the people I saw walk past like 20 times. Like it was a small show. It was kind of slow. People are just cruising around and around and around and around over and over again. But still, I did really good. If I hadn't have sold out of a couple of books the first day, I would have probably made an extra 300, $400.
I
But
mean,
I just
to
ran out
me
of
it
money.
sounds like a good show
Yeah,
because at least
I
from
mean,
my
I did
end,
well.
because like I do the most I have ever made at a con with and that's having Harrier 1 through 5. Did I have beats at that point? I don't think I had beats at that point. I think I had Flurry 1, Wardens 1. Is I think I got to a total of about I think my best is about 220. And hearing you hearing you hit 400 and stuff, it's like man,
Oh man.
that's a lot. If I could hit that at every con, man, I'd be solid. I'd be good.
Usually but then I'm also an artist, so usually doing caricatures and stuff, I'll clear the table costs and the hotel costs usually doing commissions and caricatures. At this in Nashville, I only did one sketch cover. I didn't even offer caricatures because I wanted to see how selling the books at the lower cover price would work.
Yeah,
And I sold like gangbusters. And I did it contingent on I was like, this is the price of the books, but if you act now, and you sign up for the newsletter, I will sign them all for you and I'll give them to you for this discount. And people are like, "Oh yeah, sure, I'll sign up for the newsletter." And I had the tablet open. I've got like a stand for the tablet now and it's open to the page so you could just type it in and sign them up for my email newsletter because you never know where TikTok or Facebook or whatever is going to do.
yeah.
And so having access to those people again after they bought my books to say, "Hey, the new book is coming out," is invaluable, and making that part of the deal, people signed up all day long. And being able to offer a cool deal, like at the time, I only took call. Oh, what did I have? I had call 1 and 2, and then I had all of the Green Zone books and the source book, and I was giving them all of that for $20 if you signed up right now. I sold sets of that to ladies that didn't even like comics, but were just like, "Well, that's a heck of a deal. I know people that like comics. I'll do it as a stocking stuffer." Absolutely. Here you go. Sign up for the newsletter. I will get these all signed for you. And it sold like crazy. I was a big proponent of selling books for more money because we're doing an artisanal product. We're doing a one of a kind, unique thing. It's not McDonald's. But after going to the show with Henri and seeing the way he sold books and the way he made so many of those, what the hell sales that I don't get when I'm selling my books for $10 a piece. Like the people that really love indie comics, like me, will pay $10 a piece to check out a cool new book. I might not buy all the copies of your book, but I'll buy one to check it out. But selling them at like $3 a piece for KAAW, like, yeah, absolutely. And now that I've got all the books in, I'm like, they're $3 a piece. Or, if you act now, I'll give you all four of them for $10, if you sign up for the newsletter. And okay, yeah, that's a deal. And usually I can spin that over into also, and if you act now, you can get these books and this and this and that, and bring it all together, for a good deal. But I enjoy that stuff and I'm good at that part of it, and I'm learning and honing my craft more and more. Like I learned in the beginning, I was wasting a whole lot of time going through my whole big extended pitch for T-Man and Hyperstrike. And my son pointed out to me that I was losing people early on, but I was still wasting like 5 minutes getting to the end of this big long pitch.
Yeah.
So I redid my pitch and I did it into segments. And so now it would be like, yeah, this is my comic book about a superhero team with Tourette syndrome and ADHD. And I'm looking to see like, what's your reaction?
Yeah.
Are you interested, or are you looking like, can I walk away yet? If you want to walk away, I'm like, okay, we'll stop right there. Have a good day, man. I hope you enjoy the show. We're done. Get to the know as soon as possible. If they're still listening and they're interested, then I can go into the next part of the pitch. And then if they're still listening, I go into the next part. And by that point, I pretty much know I got a sale. And that has been really helpful, like cutting it down into those stages and looking to see like, should I even bother with the next stage, or should I let this be the end of this and let them move on so I can pitch to the next person?
Yeah.
And that has helped me, because I could sit there and talk to somebody for 45 minutes, but I don't want to lose 10 sales just because, chit chatting.
Yeah. When I do a pitch, usually, they'll come up and they'll either, if for the most part, like if they kind of look at something, like if they're walking across and they see something, they kind of hesitate. I'm like, what did you see? What caught your eye? And they'll come over and usually from there, I'm like, they're kind of, sometimes they'll say what they're looking at, other times they just say they're looking. And, from there, I'll have a conversation of what they might be into, stuff like that. But some of them that come up, I got a preview book that they can flip through and kind of see the pages from the book. And,
Is that like a physical copy out on the table, or is it like protected?
It's prints. I made pages into like print pages, and I just put them in a binder, and they can flip, like an art binder that they can flip through. And so usually it helps because when I show them a book or tell them about a book, I'm like, if this is our superhero book of Harrier. And I'll make it short and sweet. I'm like, she's a detective, but she gets a super suit, and she's got to go between being a law enforcement, being a superhero for the government, stuff like that. And I won't go too much into detail, but it's enough to get like an idea of what the book is,
Hmm.
and I'll move on to the next one. I was like, oh, if you, and you know, we got Flurry, who's kind of like X-Men stuff like that. If you're into that, or if you like something different, you know, there's Beats, and she's, you know, she's mute, and she's doing all these things, and then I'll, you know, so on and so forth. I'll just kind of move along and tell them, you know, and that's the thing on the preview book is they can kind of see what I'm talking about, and it's really cool that I can do that for them to show them, hey, here's this. Here, like, let me, where's this? Like, I can say I had the preview up. I go, yeah, you know, she's, uh, she's a warden, which is that, you know, these people that have this animalistic ability, and I'm showing them all these pages, so they're kind of getting an idea. And I go, oh, it's in the 1920s, and they see this page, and they're like, oh man, like that's really cool. And you know, I show them the bad guy, and they're like, oh, well, and, you know, it sparks their interest. Like, I would have never known this if I didn't see the pages to begin with. And that's kind of the way I've taken at cons is when somebody gets interested, I really show them, um, you know, what they could be missing instead of just telling them. It's like I can show you everything without handing you a book in your hands like most people do. It's like, no, I can just show you right here, big print, ready to get like, and because I've had, and the reason I do this is I've seen too many times where people have all their copies on their table, and the problem is, especially at cons, you have people who are either not used to cons who set their stuff on your table and this and they'll put a drink there,
That is
they'll
true.
put other bags, um and or you know, you'll have kids, and no matter what you tell a kid, they're curious and they want to touch. No matter what you say, no matter what you do, they want to touch. And so that's why what I do is I put, you know, I put this, and it's, you know, it's okay to be spilled on. It's okay to be it's not gonna
I've
hurt
thought about
things.
doing that. Like they have those display, like those point of sale displays with the hard plastic covered sheets that you can flip through like a big book that stands up on a stand.
Mhm.
Danny J. Quick got one for his poster prints and stuff that you can flip through mini versions of them and say, I want that poster, and he can pull it from behind. I thought about doing something like that for my comic book pages, but what I saw Henri doing, I liked because he would just take a stack of them and he would flip through it with you as he did the little Ginsu knife pitch about what the book is.
Yeah.
And I liked that because then you get to see inside the book for real. You get to see what the book looks like, but I'm doing it. So you aren't fiddle fuddling with all my books and tearing them up, because usually at the end of the con, the books that I had out there for display were ruined. Like, you know, the ones for people to flip through, they were trash by the end of the con.
And that's one thing I didn't want to do is it felt like I'd be wasting books for just display. And I'm like, instead of doing that, I'm going to just put them as prints, put them in a binder organized, you know, oh, here's a 3-page preview of, you know, Wardens or Flurry or Beats. And people kind of see, um, you know, either they kind of see a sequence of what's going on in the book. There's no words, there's no, so they don't get spoiled by it.
Hmm.
And I just like it because like you said, with a book, you know, it's cool that like somebody could grab a book and kind of look through and kind of like, oh, but I feel like most people like I've been to a comic, you know, I go to a comic store and I'll look to see if I like something in a book, or like if it grabs my interest. But I feel like for me personally, like seeing a bigger version and really getting to see the detail of the book, um, makes me feel a little bit better about the book. I don't know what it is. It just makes me feel better about the book. And it's, I don't know. It's hard to explain like how a book makes you feel, like seeing it. You're just like, oh, like so many people see Warden's One, and it's crazy because Warden's One, I show, what pages do I show? I kind of show the beginning sequence of the book, and that you see the hero for the first time, kind of standing over the bad guys, like, I'm giving you a choice. You either leave now or you die, kind of thing. And people see it, and I'm telling them about the book, and I can see their interest go, that's really awesome. And it's something that for now I've loved. I actually got to order more of those for beats and stuff to put in the binder, but um, that's one thing at cons that I will never get rid of because it works so well.
Let's hope it works. I realized while I'm sitting here, I could be printing bookmarks. So
Uh,
I'm trying to get something done too while I'm just sitting here because I'm going to use up the majority of my stockpile of bookmarks in the Kickstarter rewards. And those bookmarks worked so good as a way to stop somebody and say, hey, want a free comic strip? And so I definitely want to have some to take with me. But the heavy duty glossy cardstock double-sided stuff is a beast to get through the printer. Like, it does not want to take a stack and just feed pages. And so I got to really work it to get it flexible enough to want to go through and not, oh, we got a paper jam. Even set on heavy, thick stock paper, it still gives me a hassle every time. So we'll see how it goes.
yeah. So is it the same printer you use for the books?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it does. It does such a nice job on everything. Like the books come out so nice for my Patreon and whatnot. I've been using matte paper for the inside just because I prefer it. I like it myself because like the with the matte paper, the you don't get that glossy pop, but you also don't get the shine that like you're having to move the book around to read it. So, personally, I like it. It has more of an old school comic book feel to me than the magazine feel that a lot of them have now. But I get if it's not some people's cup of tea, there's glossy paper you can get to do it with. I like this paper myself. Um, but that's what I do for my Patreon books and stuff because I'm doing small print runs on those anyway. And usually, oh, he gone. Where'd he go? But I'm usually doing small print runs on those books anyhow. So, it's not a big deal if I'm printing 20 copies of that. It is definitely not something that you want to use for printing 300-400 copies of something. It's not fast enough to make that. Time wise, you're going to lose too much time on that. But let's see. I don't know if he's going to make it back in or not. Let's see. Yeah. He's not showing up. Reach out to him over Messenger and make sure he's okay. See if he's going to plan on coming back in here or not. But we have been on for an hour and a half. So, I mean, it wouldn't be a bad time to stop it. I'm going to go ahead and let him know. All right. Well, thank y'all for hanging out and hanging with us and talking comics. Sorry it's been such a fraught episode this time around. Trying to do some new stuff. Eventually, I'm gonna get that side of the room wired for sound and video and stuff. I just need to figure out what I got to do and what I got to invest to make it happen. Because I'm tired of not being able to do stuff from over there as well. And even though it's back and forth across the room. Anyway, thank y'all for hanging out. Thank you for everybody that came to watch afterwards. If you haven't already, go check out gomrfish.com and it'll take you right to the Alice Lost in Wonderland on backer kit and give us a back. Give it a share. Absolutely. Give it a share. If you don't want to back it, give it a share. It would be such a blessing. Anyway, hope y'all have a wonderful day and I will see you on the flip side. Hopefully, see you at the con soon.